Imagine waking up one day and discovering that your entire world is about to change. Your body doesn't move the way it used to. Every step feels uncertain. Every moment unpredictable. This is my mom's reality. 4 years ago, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and our lives have never been the same since. Join me as I take you on a deeply personal journey through all the ups and downs of living with Parkinson's. This is a wobbly Parkinson's life, an unfiltered look at the raw reality of this disease. Subscribe now and be part of a community that understands, supports, and empowers each other through every twist and turn. No one has to face this journey alone. Once upon a time, a little over 4 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. This is the beginning of our journey together in a video series I've named A Wobbly Parkinson's Life. I have around 50 episodes planned, documenting her roller coaster ride through this challenging condition called Parkinson's disease. This channel is dedicated to sharing her journey from a daughter's perspective. You'll get an honest look into our real-life experiences, the many challenges, occasional triumphs, few highs, and numerous lows. This is the whole truth with no sugarcoating. Parkinson's disease can make people feel isolated, alone, and hopeless. Through this series, I hope to create a space where people feel heard, supported, and even a little empowered. I have a lot of valuable information to share, and I believe it can make a difference. My mom's first symptoms started about 5 years ago. She had some random episodes of tremors in her right hand. She is right-handed, so it was a little bothersome. She ignored these tremors for about a year and did not seek medical advice or even mention it to me. However, after a year or so, the shaking became more regular and was starting to affect the use of her hands. I actually noticed it and talked to her about it. She agreed to go to her GP, who she loves and trusts. He suspected Parkinson's and referred her to a neurologist. This was in 2019. The neurologist said there was no simple test to confirm whether or not you actually have the disease. He said that instead they give you medication, the Parkinson's medication, and if it helps, then that confirms that you have Parkinson's. Strange way to do it, but I guess that works. So he gave her some samples of Rytari, which is a drug containing carbidopa and levodopa. This will be important later. She started on a low dose and almost immediately noticed the tremors were greatly reduced. So that meant she indeed did have Parkinson's disease. That low dose seemed to work for quite a while, and she was able to go back to her normal life. There were little to no side effects, and for the most part, tremors were reduced, and the disease was pretty much a non-issue at this point. As time went on, she would need to increase the dosage, but the medication allowed her to live her life in an almost normal fashion. Fast forward to about 2 years ago now. My videos will start at this point, as this is when things took a turn. I have a timeline and a bullet points about what I want to share and what things have happened along the way. So far, I have about 50 videos planned. I will attempt to post one Parkinson's-related video a week to this channel. Basically, over the course of the first 2 years since diagnosis, she went from having little to no symptoms other than some tremors in her right hand here and there, to added stiffness in her right leg and a pain in her ankle and the top of her foot. It makes her feel wobbly and unstable. She also has spinal stenosis. We have no idea what caused that. Parkinson's, maybe. It seems to cause many unrelated random issues. But she has had back issues for years, so maybe not. There's no way to know, really. It's a strange phenomenon, actually. Anytime she goes to see a doctor for anything, once they find out she has Parkinson's, they always say that it can cause or contribute to whatever symptoms she is currently complaining about. But actually, we have been really lucky with the majority of her doctors, and they really do try to help her. We went to the spine specialist for her back because she was really suffering with lower back pain and stiffness, weakness in her legs. We were not sure if it was a Parkinson's or something in her back that was causing it. She tried epidurals and even a nerve block, but nothing helped long term. This video series is not about back pain, so I won't go through all the poor things my mom had to endure trying to get some relief of the spinal stenosis. I'm just going to summarize it real quick. Once we finally found the spine specialist, he suggested a promising procedure that he had been doing. We had high hopes that it would not only make her back feel better, but maybe also help with this new foot pain stiffness. There were some potential side effects, but Mom wanted to try it. So she had surgery for the spinal stenosis, which did help her back a little bit, but not her foot. They inserted an in-span device in her spine, which basically creates more room for the nerves on her spinal cord. Pretty interesting product. And if you're interested, let me know. I can do a video about it. But moving on, back to the information you came here for. Living with Parkinson's disease. There are so many people who are afflicted with this disease, and many have not yet been diagnosed. I hope my video sparks something in those who are hesitant to go see their doctor, because there is some relief available. From this point forward, I'm going to break the episodes of these video series down into short topics, sort of sequentially, but also add in informational videos based on things I have learned on the internet along the way. I don't want the videos to be an hour long. My goal is to keep them under 10 to 15 minutes long, so you can easily get the information you are looking for. Some of them where I am sharing detailed info may be a little longer, but my goal is not to make them super long. Please remember, I'm not a doctor, and everything I have learned was from hours and hours and hours of watching YouTube videos and reading tons and tons of information. I've learned so much, and I want to share it with you. Some of the information may be outdated or even incorrect. I have no way to verify most of it. But if 10 different experts say the same thing, I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Mostly I'll be sharing Mom's experience and also my experience and how we've dealt with all of this. Keep watching the rest of this episode as I'll describe more of the beginning of my mom's Parkinson's journey. I'll go into more detail in future episodes, but right now I just wanted to discuss the beginning. Her current situation is much different than it was at the beginning. It's a little difficult to share some of these things, but I think it's important to tell the whole story, unfiltered. This part of Mom's Parkinson's journey, the beginning, is probably very similar to what others experience. Subsequent videos will follow our experience in a chronological sort of way, and I'll be adding lots of information that I learned along the way from experts in the field. I have an ever-growing list of topics upcoming, so please subscribe so you can easily find them. And if you click the little bell to be notified when I post a new video, you won't miss anything. Like I said, I created all of this in the future. So my mom is now 80. She was 76 when diagnosed. Looking back at the signs, we figured out that she had the tremors for about a year before we actually went to the neurologist and got it all figured out. It was an infrequent thing at first, and she didn't want to pursue it until it became more constant inconvenience and annoyance. My husband and I live about 15 minutes from Mom, and I work about a mile from her apartment, so we see each other a lot. My daughter's family also lives nearby. So Mom does have a support system in place, but at the time of her Parkinson's diagnosis, she was living independently and not needing much help at all at that point. Did she have any other medical issues? Well, she was pretty healthy, to be honest. She had back pain for many years and arthritis, but that's about it. She was already dealing with the back pain, so that was kind of just part of her normal life. More recently, she started having blood pressure issues, and she did suffer a TIA, a mini stroke, back in 2018. Interesting that she had the TIA in January, and shortly afterwards was when she started having the Parkinson symptoms. Related? Well, they say no, but there was another TIA in 2023, and things got way worse Parkinson's-wise after that episode. So I tend to believe that the TIAs are connected to the Parkinsons. The doctors don't agree with me, though. It's interesting, but anyway, other than the start of the Parkinson's tremors, she had no other ill effects from the TIA, the one back in 2018. And the blood pressure medication kept her blood pressure under control. At Mom's first consultation with the neurologist, our first impression of him was positive. He took the time to explain things to us and give us lots of info, but basically said there is no normal with Parkinson's patients. What works for one person won't work for another. The transition and worsening of the disease does not follow a predictable path or timeline. Someone can have tremors in one hand for 3 months and then it instantly moves to the feet. And then they can be in a wheelchair 6 months later. Or some other people can have tremors in one hand for 2 years and then it can slowly start elsewhere, or a new Parkinson's symptom can arise altogether. He didn't feel like Parkinson's in her case was genetic. Why? I'm not sure. He said that the later onset, older than 50 years old Parkinson's, is not usually genetic, while early onset has some genetic ties. I later did my own research and found that they have determined that there are some gene mutations in late onset patients that may indicate some hereditary features of the disease. I plan on doing a video about this later on in the series. Make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss it. He also didn't agree with the TIA connection either. He said there are studies that show there is an increased risk of being diagnosed with Parkinson's after a TIA, but he would not say that it was the cause or even admit that it could be the cause of my mom's Parkinson's disease. I have, however, done a bunch of research and lots of experts say otherwise. And there is a link. I'll be doing at least one video about this research that I have done. I have a ton of data, so I might break it down into a couple episodes. I think you will find it very interesting. Why does the neurologist not want to say there could be a connection between the two? I don't know. Looking back, it may be because he doesn't want to give us false information. He tends to really filter what he says to us, so I'm not sure. Anyways, moving on. He explained that we need to come back every few months at the beginning so he could monitor the effectiveness of the medication, and that we may need to switch to another medication if it stops working. But he didn't really give us many details about what to look for or what to expect. All he just kept saying is everyone is different and there's no way to predict how things will progress. Okay then, well, we left feeling a little confused and not really knowing what was to come. One thing for sure, I was concerned that Mom would not be able to care for herself once some of the other symptoms he told us about would arise. But then again, maybe that could be 10 years down the line. It was impossible to know. Like I explained earlier, at that point there was no good test to determine what the patient is experiencing is actually Parkinson's or some other movement disorder. Parkinson's is officially a movement disorder. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. Other movement disorders are ataxia, Huntington's disease, Tourette syndrome, Wilson's disease, dystonia, essential tremor, and many more. These movement disorders are all treated by neurologists, and each neurologist specializes in a couple of them. There are very few neurologists who specialize in Parkinson's in our area, and the doctor that we were referred to is supposedly one of the best. Unfortunately, over the course of the treatment for her Parkinson's over the past few years, we have not had the best experience with him. But I'll get into that in future videos. He will not be mentioned by name as I want to be able to talk freely about our experiences. Did he offer good information at that first appointment? I guess so. He ultimately started Mom on the Parkinson's drugs called Rytary. He gave us some samples and basically told us to try them, and if it helps, then that's what she has. If it doesn't help, then that's something else, and he'll need to proceed in a different direction. She started on a very low dose, and yes, it did help. Was it a miracle cure? No, but her tremors were much less annoying to her. She could go hours without any tremors at all. Mom loves to play poker. In fact, she played Texas Hold'em with a group of friends every month or so, and she did well. It's great that she has this outlet and connection with her friends. It not only keeps her mind sharp, but allows her to socialize with others, not just sit in her apartment all day. She lives independently. She takes care of everything herself. Cooking, cleaning, shopping. She pays all her bills, manages her medications, makes her own appointments, drives herself, etc. The Rytary allowed her to easily continue on with these activities. She may have been a little annoyed when the medications would wear off a bit and the tremors would return, but she adjusted pretty easily. She knew that about 2 o'clock every day the tremors would return, and that once she took her next dose at 4 o'clock, she would have relief for several more hours. She continued with the Rytary and went to see the doctor every 6 months or so. As the symptoms progressed, he would just increase her medication. It was kind of like chasing a rolling stone as it goes down a hill. But she was able to maintain her lifestyle. She did eventually get a cleaning lady, which was mostly because of her back pain, not really the Parkinson's. This was the status quo for a couple years as the Rytary kept her stable, until it didn't. I want to mention that this is going to be a faceless video channel, at least for now, and all of the photos depicting people are not us. These are AI-generated images or from Canva. so I don't believe they are real people. I did that on purpose. Why not show myself talking and use pictures of us? Number 1, and most importantly, is to protect my mom's privacy. And number 2 is so I can speak freely without having to worry about slandering anyone. I have some stories to tell, and you're going to hear them. I am not trying to hide anything, and actually I plan on being brutally honest about everything we've been through so far and what is to come. I want to try to build a community of people who either have Parkinson's, have a loved one with Parkinson's, or are curious about the disease. So by liking the video and subscribing and commenting, you will help this video get out to more viewers. I am not a doctor or a medical professional at all, just a daughter facing this disease and challenges along with my mom. In the next video, I will explain what Parkinson's disease is and how it affects the brain in simple terms so it's easy to understand. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much.